The truth about humans. Earth is not like most worlds. It is classified as a Category 12 death world. For those unfamiliar with such measures, most intelligent species evolve on Category 4 to 6 worlds, where the dangers are present but manageable, where life flourishes under predictable patterns of climate and ecology. Anything above Category 8 is considered nearly uninhabitable. Yet Earth stands at 12. Gravity presses heavier there than on most worlds, nearly 10 meters per second squared. A burden strong enough to crush lighter bones, to wear down weaker muscles, to punish even the smallest misstep. The weather is violent and unpredictable. Storms of wind and water sweep across continents. Heat burns deserts into wastelands. Cold freezes entire regions solid. Rivers flood, oceans rise, mountains tremble, and lightning splits the skies in endless displays of destructive power. The wildlife is no less merciful. On land, in the water, and in the skies, predators stalk with fangs and venom, claws and horns. Even the plants resist and fight, some cut with thorns, some choke with vines, some poison through touch, taste, or breath. To breathe Earth's air is to inhale dust, spores, pollen, and disease. To drink its water is to risk parasites. To step barefoot is to risk injury. It is a world designed to kill. One would expect such a world to breed timid creatures, defensive, cautious, wary of every shadow. And yet, against all sense, humanity did not become a timid species. They did not cower from danger, nor hide from the challenges of their lethal home. They did not evolve to avoid risk. They embraced it. Humans live not in fear of their world but in partnership with it. They climb mountains that should break them. They sail oceans that should swallow them. They explore deserts where water does not flow. Where other species might find a single safe valley and cling to it, humans spread across every climate, every environment, every danger their world has to offer. And the most striking truth of all is this: they do not merely endure Earth's hostility. They thrive in it. To understand the strangeness of humans, consider something as simple as falling. For most creatures, a fall is a death sentence. A slip of only a few body lengths can break bones or shatter skulls. 3 body lengths is fatal for almost every known species. Instinct teaches life to stay low, to avoid heights, to fear the drop. Humans defy this instinct. On their world, falling is not only survived, it is often invited. They climb cliffs and leap into the oceans below. Distances of 10, 20, even 30 meters are treated not as threats but as entertainment. They plunge headfirst toward the water, leading with the very organ that holds their consciousness, their thoughts, and their identity. They strike the surface with a force strong enough to stun or kill, and then they surface with laughter. But 30 meters is not enough. Humans found a way to climb even higher. They created machines to carry them into the sky itself, thousands of meters above the ground. And then, with deliberate intent, they step out of those machines into empty air. For seconds, they plummet, powerless, their bodies twisting and tumbling against the wind. Then they pull a cord, and a sheet of fabric blooms above them, dragging them to a slower descent. They call this skydiving. It is not done in desperation. It is not an accident of survival. The machines that carried them up were safe, stable, and fully capable of landing. But humans are not content with safety. They choose to leap, to fall, to gamble their lives against gravity for nothing more than the thrill of the experience. And when falling loses its novelty, they invent new variations. Some attach smaller wings of fabric to their bodies and glide like birds, skimming the sides of mountains at speeds that would kill them instantly if they erred by a single step. Others leap from structures, towers, and cliffs without parachutes, aiming for nets or narrow landing zones that can barely catch them. Where another species would see height as danger, humans see it as an opportunity. Where others cling to safety, humans embrace the fall. To them, falling is not a mistake. It is a sport. If their fascination with falling seems reckless, their relationship with animals is nothing short of madness. On Earth, animals are not gentle. They are built for survival, for fighting, for killing. Many are larger than humans, stronger, faster, and armed with natural weapons, hooves, horns, claws, and teeth. To most species, such creatures are threats to avoid. To humans, they are challenges to approach. Take, for example, the horse. A massive herbivore, capable of crushing a skull with a single kick or breaking ribs with one strike of its hooves. Yet humans do not merely tame these creatures. They climb onto their backs. They ride them at full speed across open ground, controlling them with little more than ropes and subtle movements of their bodies. They do not do this only for transport or necessity. They turn it into sport. They race horses against one another for glory and wager. But even this is too tame. Consider the bull. Stronger than a horse, heavier, armed with horns designed to gore and to kill. The bull is bred to fight, to resist domination. And what do humans do? They release it into an arena, climb onto its back, and try to hold on while the beast thrashes with all its strength to throw them. The goal is not to survive unscathed, but to last as long as possible before being thrown. And when the rider is finally flung to the ground, when the bull lowers its head to strike, other humans step in, unarmed, on foot, to draw its fury away, risking their own bodies in the process. It is not only bulls. Humans wrestle crocodiles, creatures that have lived since before humanity itself, with jaws powerful enough to snap bone in an instant. They swim with sharks in the open sea, predators with rows of serrated teeth. They train dogs descended from wolves to chase, to fight, to guard, and yet also to sit calmly at their feet like companions. Even the smallest creatures are treated with a strange mixture of respect and daring. Venomous snakes, poisonous frogs, insects carrying disease, humans handle them, study them, sometimes even keep them as curiosities or pets. Where other beings see a deadly animal, humans see a test of courage, a measure of skill, or a partner to be mastered. They do not merely coexist with the predators of their world. They seek them out. They climb onto their backs, wrestle with their strength, and transform danger itself into a form of play. Among the most remarkable traits of humanity is their ability to learn movement and refine it into something beyond survival. They call it muscle memory. With practice, actions that were once clumsy and uncertain become precise, smooth, and automatic. This allows them to perform feats of balance, speed, and coordination that seem impossible. Consider what happens when water freezes. For most of life, ice is nothing but a hazard, slippery, treacherous, a surface that causes falls and injuries. Yet humans discovered that if they attached thin blades of metal to their feet, they could not only move across ice, but also glide upon it. They did not stop there. They learned to turn, to spin, to leap into the air and land again on these blades, as though the frozen surface were a stage built for their art. With practice, they transformed simple sliding into an entire discipline. They gave it names, they scored it with rules, and they filled great halls with spectators to watch them perform. But humans rarely leave such mastery confined to art. They also turn it into combat. On the same frozen surfaces, they devised a game that combined speed, aggression, and strategy. They arm themselves with sticks and chase a hardened disc, colliding with one another at speeds fast enough to shatter bones. They strike, they slam, they crash, and they fight, not because they must, but because the game demands it. This they call hockey, and to play it is to endure constant risk of injury. The most astonishing part is not that they can balance on ice, not that they can leap and land without falling, not even that they willingly collide with one another at dangerous speeds. It is that they make such things seem normal. They treat them as routine, even trivial. What for other species would be a desperate struggle against nature, for humans becomes recreation, tradition, and pride. Ice, to most, is a barrier. To humans, it is simply another surface to conquer. If one wishes to understand human endurance, one must look to their ability to run. Most creatures can sprint, but only for brief moments. Their bodies overheat, their muscles burn, and they are forced to stop. Humans are different. Their bodies are built not for the short chase, but for distance. Their legs are long, with tendons that act like springs. Their muscles contain fibers designed to sustain effort for hours. Their skin is covered with sweat glands, millions of them, allowing them to cool while moving. Their lungs and hearts are capable of pushing oxygen steadily through their bodies for extraordinary lengths of time. This strange combination gave rise to one of the most unusual hunting strategies in the animal kingdom, persistence hunting. Humans can choose a single animal, perhaps a deer or an antelope, and pursue it not with speed, but with relentlessness. The animal flees in bursts, faster than any human could follow. But humans do not stop. They jog steadily, mile after mile, while the sun beats down. The animal flees again, but grows weaker. Its body cannot shed heat as efficiently. Its muscles falter. Hours later, it collapses from exhaustion, and the humans arrive, still moving, still breathing, to claim their prey. This is not the work of technology, nor of weapons. It is simply the endurance of the human body, matched with the will of the human mind. Few predators on Earth could outlast such a chase. Even fewer beings anywhere in the galaxy could imagine doing so voluntarily. Yet for humans, endurance is not only a tool for survival. They transform it, as they do with everything, into sport. They run races across streets and through deserts, testing themselves not against prey, but against their own limits. The most famous of these is the marathon, a distance of over 40 kilometers. Tens of thousands take part in a single race. Some collapse along the way. Some vomit from exertion. Some crawl the final meters, refusing to surrender. And yet, when they reach the finish line, they raise their arms in triumph, as if the suffering itself were the victory. Endurance is more than a physical skill for humans. It is part of their identity. To run until the body breaks, to keep moving when others would fall, to refuse to surrender to exhaustion, this is not only something they can do. It is something they celebrate. For humans, distance is not an obstacle. It is a challenge to be conquered. If endurance defines human persistence, then games reveal their strangeness. Across their history, humans have created contests, rituals of struggle where there is no prey to catch, no predator to escape, no survival at stake. Yet the intensity with which they play these games is no less than the intensity of war. They gather in great arenas, some built to hold tens of thousands, some broadcast to millions more across the world. Within these fields, humans divide themselves into teams. Each side fights for control over an object, a ball, a puck, sometimes nothing more than a line painted across the ground. Around this object, they build entire systems of rules. The rules are strict, written down, and enforced. But within them, violence and chaos flourish. In one game, men dressed in heavy armor clash with bone-crushing force, slamming into each other to carry an oddly shaped ball from one end of a field to the other. Their bodies crash together with enough impact to break ribs, concuss skulls, and tear muscles, yet they rise again and again, determined to continue. In another, athletes chase a small black disc across a frozen sheet of ice, balanced precariously on blades strapped to their feet. They hurl the disc at each other with terrifying speed, swinging sticks as weapons. Bodies slam into the walls of the arena. Helmets crack against the ice. Blood stains the white surface. And still they fight on, because this is the game. There are countless others. Some rely on agility, others on sheer strength. Some require cunning strategy, others pure endurance. Yet no matter the form, the same truth emerges: humans will invent hardship where none exists, and then throw themselves into it with complete devotion. And as strange as their contests may appear, stranger still is the passion that surrounds them. Cities are divided by loyalties to teams. Families gather to watch in joy or despair. Victories are celebrated as if they were matters of survival, defeats mourned as though they were personal tragedies. For many, these games are not played. They are identity. Here lies the paradox of humanity: even in safety, they crave danger. Even in peace, they create battles. And when those battles are finished, they cheer, they laugh, they drink, and then they do it all again. For humans, games are not idle diversions. They are rehearsals for struggle, rituals of conflict, and celebrations of survival. This, too, is how they play. There is one element above all others that marks humanity's boldness: fire. For most creatures, fire is a terror. It consumes forests, destroys homes, and kills without discrimination. Animals flee from it. Even intelligent species might treat it with sacred caution. But humans made it their companion. They tamed it, carried it, and learned to feed it with wood, oil, and fuel. Fire cooked their food, warmed their homes, and forged their weapons. But humanity is never content to use danger only for necessity. They turn it, like everything else, into spectacle. In city streets and open fields, performers lift torches and swallow flames. They draw fire across their bodies, juggling burning brands in elaborate patterns. Some even place a mouthful of fuel between their lips and spit it across the torch's edge, releasing a gout of flame that erupts into the night sky. To the onlookers, it is dazzling, beautiful in its danger. To the performer, it is mastery over something that should kill them. The risk is immense. A moment's mistake means scorched flesh, inhaled flame, poisoned lungs. Yet still they perform, not under compulsion, not out of desperation, but for the simple reason that they choose to. And fire is not the only force they court. Humans have detonated explosives not only in war, but in experiments, standing near blasts that could tear their bodies apart. They play with sparks, chemicals, and combustibles, creating fireworks that thunder through the sky. Whole crowds gather beneath the explosions, not with fear, but with joy, marveling at each blossom of fire. It is difficult to say whether this is courage or madness. Perhaps it is both. What is certain is that no danger, no destructive force, no raw element of nature is immune to human curiosity. If there is fire, they will touch it. If it burns, they will master it. And if it can be made more dangerous, they will still find a way to call it entertainment. This is their nature, not only to survive the fury of the world, but to dance within it. It is one thing to endure hardship when necessity demands it. It is another thing entirely to seek it out. Humans, unlike most creatures, do not wait for danger to come. They go looking for it. When survival no longer presses them to the edge, they manufacture risks to test themselves against. They climb sheer cliffs with only their fingers and toes for purchase, rising hundreds of meters into the air without ropes or nets. One slip would mean certain death, yet they ascend with calm determination, as if daring gravity to claim them. They leap from towering bridges or aircraft, trusting only thin cords or scraps of cloth to slow their fall. For them, the sensation of freefall, the rush of wind, the plunge toward the earth, is not terror, but exhilaration. They dive into oceans where predators lurk, strapping heavy tanks to their backs so they can breathe where no land creature should. Some go further still, descending into lightless caves beneath the water, where one wrong turn means drowning in silence. Even the mountains, capped with ice and swept by storms, are not safe from human ambition. They march upward into thin air where breathing becomes agony, frostbite gnaws at flesh, and avalanches sweep away the careless. Many perish on those frozen slopes, but others return, triumphant, because they reached a peak that most of their kind will never see. And still this pattern repeats: danger embraced, danger celebrated, danger turned into a measure of pride. Why? Perhaps it is because humans understand that safety breeds stagnation. Perhaps they crave struggle, even when life no longer demands it. Or perhaps, more simply, they feel most alive when death is near, and they choose to face it rather than flee from it. For humans, danger is not always an enemy. Sometimes, it is a companion they invite into their lives, proof that they are still capable of risk, still capable of defiance, still capable of choosing the impossible. This is their paradox, to find joy in the very things that should end them. To understand humans fully, one must grasp a truth that seems almost absurd. All of these things, these leaps into oceans, these climbs up cliffs, these battles on ice and fields of grass, are not done out of desperation. They are done for play. Play. A word that seems innocent, almost trivial. But in human hands, it is a force of staggering intensity. Where other creatures play only in youth, testing skills before adulthood, humans never outgrow it. From childhood to old age, they invent games, challenges, and contests. They do not play only for amusement. They play to learn. They play to test themselves. They play to prove mastery. And sometimes, they play simply because life without play feels empty. Play sharpens their instincts. It hones their balance, their strength, their wit. It teaches cooperation and strategy, while also feeding rivalry and ambition. Through play, they simulate danger without consequence. Through play, they prepare themselves for real hardship. But there is more. For humans, play is not only about the individual. It is about the group. When they gather to run races, or to clash in ritual combat, or even to throw a simple ball from hand to hand, they are building bonds. The joy of play becomes the joy of belonging. Victories are shared, losses are carried together, and the experience ties them into something greater than themselves. And so, what seems to outsiders like recklessness, risking life and limb for no reason, reveals a deeper truth. Play is not frivolous to humans. It is essential. It keeps their bodies strong, their minds sharp, and their communities united. Perhaps this is why they endure so much, why they thrive in conditions others would not dare approach. Because for humans, survival is not enough. To live is to play, and to play is to transform struggle into triumph. This is the heart of their mystery, that joy and danger can exist side by side, and that through play, they learn not only how to live, but how to overcome. And so, we conclude. You have heard of their endurance, their endless contests, their fire and fury, their chosen dangers, their relentless need to play. Each story may sound like a curiosity, a collection of oddities that mark humanity as eccentric rather than extraordinary. But taken together, they reveal a deeper truth, one that carries weight beyond entertainment. Humans are a species that does not wait for hardship to test them. They seek it. They rehearse it. They turn survival itself into recreation, until danger feels like an old friend rather than a fear. Where most beings avoid suffering, humans court it. Where most collapse under strain, humans rise and ask for more. This has consequences. It means that when real trials come, famine, war, disaster, humans are not caught unprepared. They have lived in struggle, even when they did not need to. They have practiced pain. They have trained themselves, through games and play, to endure fear, exhaustion, and risk. And so, when the true moment arrives, the avalanche, the storm, the battlefield, the collapse of worlds, they are ready in ways others cannot be. They do not simply survive hardship. They are sharpened by it. That is the warning. Do not mistake their laughter for weakness. Do not mistake their games for triviality. Do not assume their play is wasted energy. For in every contest, in every climb, in every reckless plunge into danger, they are preparing themselves for something greater. They are practicing to endure. They are rehearsing to prevail. And when the universe demands the final measure of strength, humanity will meet it, not with fear, but with the same spirit with which they face every self-chosen trial. This is the lesson: humans are dangerous not only because they survive what others cannot. They are dangerous because they choose to struggle, even when they do not have to. And that choice makes them nearly impossible to break.